I know Coach Morris and Coach Craddock both kind of touched on this a little bit. A lot of fans were worried about, oh no, they're coming in, they're not going to be any tight ends anymore. What can you expand on, the kind of the role of the tight end you see in this offense?
Well, I mean, just from the early returns and the talks and the way we're going back through kind of the system and all that. I mean, it's been very clear to me, in talking to Joe and to Coach Morris, that they want to. They kind of want to reshape that just a little bit into what they look like at SMU because of the personnel that we have here, and to make it match up a little bit more with what they look like at Clemson, probably. When they obviously had a tight end that won the Mackey Award. So I think that's pretty much self-explanatory there, And so then it'll be up to the guys that we have here in our roster to prove to these guys and to me what they can or can't do and what they deserve or what they don't deserve as far as opportunities. And then, like any good offense and any good offensive coordinator, you're going to try to play to your strengths. And if our tight ends are strength, and if two of our tight ends are one of our strengths, I would anticipate there'd be ways to get those guys involved, moving forward.
I know.
What would you say are the strengths of that tight end group that you got right now?
Well, I don't know. I guess to some degree experience at this point. We got a bunch of guys that have played in games. I've got 4 or 5 guys that have caught a ball in a game, played snaps in games. If you take that, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5, returning tight ends that have caught a ball in the SEC games. And I think that's good experience, So I think they bring that. I think experience and maturity are 2 different things sometimes, and I think that's an area that we can grow in overall, is just, being mature professionals on a daily basis. And so, but obviously experience, I think talent, physical skill sets, those are the things we bring to the table at that position. I'm excited I think they all are, to kind of start from ground zero and kind of rebuild their brand individually and collectively.
I know you can't mention any of them by name, but the 2019 class in Arkansas seems like it's pretty talented.
It's a very good class.
Well, what are you overall general thoughts, looking forward?
Well, it's one of those years where it peaks, where it's not peaks, where it kind of has the ebbs and flows it has historically, but it seems to be at a very trending towards it being a very an excellent in-state crop. And I don't think we're done, as far as what we're identifying and what we would like to offer. I don't think we're done by any stretch of imagination. We've already got several, and I think there'll be a few more before it's all said and done that end up getting offers. How many of that looks like, I don't know, Andrew. I don't know what exactly, but there'll be, through evaluation, through camps, there'll be a guy or two that pop up that are kind of already on the radar. But it's a great class, very talented, and people across the country, I think, are taking notice of that. And that's the thing that's, to me, it's changed so much over the last 10 years. It's just the ease of which it is to recruit nationally, with social media, and you can click on a link and, within 5 minutes you can watch I do it all the time. We all do it all the time. You get sent a film, you click a link, watch a kid from California, and then a minute later you're sending him a message. He's sending you your phone number. He's calling you, and you offer the kid. I mean, it happens in 5 minutes, where 10 years ago you had to call the coach. You had to wait on a DVD to be burned. You had to wait on it to get sent to your school address where you're on the road, and then you had to get it when you got back, then watch it and make sure your DVD player works. It's amazing the way it's changed the dynamic. And I think it's in particular changed the dynamics of the state of Arkansas, and how people, I think you see more volume and more offers coming out from other people across the country and players in this state. And I think technology is probably, the root of that, on top of the talent, the talent being there, but the talent is actually being exposed more. And but it's a great class, and I think we're being very aggressive in how we're approaching that class. We're going all in on these kids. It's extremely important to, obviously, Coach Morris, to our staff, and to this program that we put all of our resources and energy and efforts into getting every one of these kids that we go after, and doing everything we can to land them.
For you,
sorry for the long answer. I'm sorry.
Could you start over?
For you, this is a new staff as well as for the players. What's different between this staff?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of differences, and each day that goes by, you find more. And and as we get closer to football and the practices and the practice structure and the meetings, there'll be more. Different is, new is different. It's new. It's fresh. It's a new voice. It's a new mottos, new core beliefs, new languages. It's all new. And that's a vague answer, but the truth is, it's all new. And one of the things that I can relate to the players to a large degree, because I'm going through the transition with them, is newness creates a new set of standards, a new set of expectations, and each day creates those challenges of trying to understand those challenges and not only adhere to them, but to thrive inside of those. And I think our guys are off to a great start doing that. I really do. And so I'm kind of one step ahead of them in a lot of those, in a lot of that regard. But so you asked me what the differences are. There's too many to name, and which would you would expect. I mean, that's when you get new leadership and you have a leader that comes from a completely different background, who has shaped his career through a head high school coach and then his time at Clemson and SMU. You get a different way of doing things, and so I think it's refreshing. I think it's positive. I think our guys are receiving it very well. And I think they're all really excited about the direction that we're heading.
Do you have any other guys with your group? I know in the past fullback and tight end, they're a little interchangeable. Do you have any work with the fullbacks, I guess?
Yeah, I think they're going to probably naturally migrate towards me. A couple of those guys, with Kendrick and with Hayden, and kind of see how that plays out, as we get going in football. But for the time being, that's how we're approaching it. And each case will be a little bit different. But yeah, those guys are kind of absorbing into my room right now, or have absorbed into my room.
A lot of times when you get a coaching change, it's a fresh start for a lot of players, but your guys, for the most part, you're back with them.
Yeah.
Is there still that sense, though, with some of these guys that they get a fresh start?
Oh, for sure. And that's been a big emphasis of mine toward them, or in my communication with them, is, hey, we're all starting from baseline. Every day that you come over to this building is a chance for you to build your brand and your identity on who you are. And so whatever you've been, you can't rest in that, whether it be good or bad. And so I think it's a really refreshing thing across the board. And even though they have the same position coach they report to, they're going to see differences in me, because of the direction, the expectations, the philosophies that Coach Morris has. They're going to see a different Coach Lunney to a large degree. Now, I'm still going to be the same, I'm not going to come in wearing a toupee or anything, although I thought about that to represent new beginnings, just to come in with a piece, and see what they thought about that. But it's going to be me, and I'm going to be me, but we're going to be a different scheme. We're going to have different expectations, a different schedule. And so I think with all that represents change, even though it's a familiar face, which I think is a good thing, for them to have familiarity. But the last thing I'm going to do, and that anybody's doing here, is using the barometer of the past to gauge what's about to happen in the future.
Low number signing class-wise, how did that change things for you guys as a staff?
Well, I think in the transition and the quick turnaround that we had with the early signing date and even how quickly it comes in January as Coach was filling the staff out, I think I wouldn't say it made it easier, but it made us to be able to kind of zero in a little bit more finite on exactly what we were needing and who we were targeting. And so that was a good thing that the class was a little bit smaller. Obviously on the negative side of that, we weren't able to probably address or go after a lot of the guys that maybe that we had developed relationships with, that they had developed relationships at SMU, or Coach Chavis and them had developed at A&M, or we had developed here. We had to be a little bit more finite in who we decided to go after. But all in all, I thought we handled the transition pretty well, considering the timeline of events. But in a small class, I think we got a really quality amount of prospects. Obviously, the quantity wasn't there, but the quality, I think, was really high.